Hey, ladies, welcome to whatever this is. I don't have a title for this show yet. Uh, I usually give dating advice and stuff to guys, but for a lot of years now, I've been being told, hey, you should be giving advice to women too. I got a lot of women friends that have asked about people that watch my male content that say they want me to give some advice. So I figured, you know what? Fine, I'll try it out. If it gets any traction, I'll continue giving advice to both men and women. But this is just a show I felt I had to do because it's Cardi B and Lizzo recently dropped a song called Rumors. And I gotta say to start off that the song's okay. The song's not like the best thing in the world. It's a bop in terms of the beat, and I don't mind the flow stuff on it. But I wanted to talk today really about basically the message that people like Lizzo and Cardi B put out there about what it should mean to be a woman, what women should be allowed to do, and what men should be able to accept from women, regardless of how they're acting or how they're portraying themselves. Because for those of you that are trying to get a man and want to know what are things that are after, I can tell you emphatically that the majority of men out there do not want a woman that acts like Lizzo and Cardi B. And this video just kind of really further clarified that. But I want to really push out there a few points about why that is. Now, I'm going to start this off by saying this, okay, is that there won't be a lot of talk about what other people talk about in reference to like, Lizzo and Cardi B's stature, physicality, or this and that. But we're going to talk about things that are important to men. What are things that men are looking for when they're looking at who they're going to date and or spend the rest of their lives with versus somebody who's just going to be a good hookup, and then the things you need to be aware of so that way you won't make the mistake of thinking you can just be a certain way and that men are going to accept that. And I know that there's this thing about always this fear that like men are pushing the narrative and men should be more accepting of women and for X, Y, and Z reasons. But understand this: if your own results right now in your dating life are that you're doing quote unquote anything you want and being the way you want to be, and you're being unapologetic yourself, but you're not getting the results that you want in terms of the men that you're trying to get, then it might be time to consider that you need to be the one to change, because you might be in this thing right now where it's like, well, men need to change and they need to fix the way that they want things. And, they shouldn't want certain things. They should want all various kinds of things. But you ladies ask a lot of us. You ladies ask us to accept a wide variety of things about you. And some of those things aren't going to gel with us, just like we are aware of the things that we need to do, how we need to become, the kind of jobs we need to have, the kind of money we need to make, how we need to present ourselves in a certain way, how we need to dress, how we need to smell. And then you all have a bunch of like height restrictions and short restrictions and weight restrictions, all this stuff. So recognize we are aware that in order for us as guys to be attractive to you, we have to build ourselves up to be the kind of man that a wide variety of women are going to want to consider as a suitor. Okay. So you can't think then that that's any different from men are out there looking at how you're acting, how you're talking to people, how you're dressing, how you're posting yourself, and deciding if based on those things, you were going to be long term. You can be butthurt about it all day, but you can do whatever you want. And this is what I want to stress. You can do whatever you want. Okay. But you cannot then be mad at any consequences you get for doing what you want. So if your version of doing what you want is the things I'm going to talk about today, and it's not getting you men, that is the consequence. You could try to convince men all day to change these things about themselves or to look at you different. But if a majority of men are saying these are not things that we find attractive or want to deal with in a relationship as it pertains to a woman we're with, then that is something you have now decided that you know the consequence of, and you're still going to do you. And I stress this because as you get older, it's going to be a lot harder to be able to do that realistically. You at 20, 21, 22 can do anything you want, and most guys are going to at least try to hook up with you. As you get into your 30s, as you get into your 40s, ladies, it's going to be harder. And I know this because I'm a 39-year-old man who has women friends that are in their late 30s, early 40s, and they are struggling right now. They are struggling with being able to get men. They are struggling with being able to attract a man on the level that they want, in part because they spent so many years, quote unquote, doing what they want to do and not understanding that those things were not attracted to men. And now it's harder because while they're in their 40s trying to get these same men, those men have the ability to date women that are like 18 and over. And I know that might sound disgusting, but it's true. I saw Bachelor in Paradise last night. I know I watched Bachelor, I watched Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, and there was a 23-year-old on there that was making out with a 35-year-old man. There was another woman that I think she was like 25, 26, and she was going after a 40-year-old man. Men have this advantage. And so you have to put yourself in a better position to be able to attract the men that you want. You're not going to be able to do that if you're running around acting like Lizzo and Cardi. So what do I mean by that? What are they doing that is so harmful that it's going to cause men to not want to date you? Well, I want to go over just 4 of those things real quick, and then we'll be out of here. All right. So here's the first thing is that most men do not want you to be flaunting your sexuality around to every other guy. You know, you have to think of your sexuality and your sexual being self as your currency. Okay. So your sexuality is your currency, much in the same way that a guy's job position and his money is his currency to women. Typically, the more money that a guy has, the pool of women that he has gets a lot bigger. Okay. So let's say a guy gets with you. You guys dated for a while. You become boyfriend or girlfriend. You are now the sole person that he is dating. If that same man were to then go out and spend money on 5 or 6 other women, how would you feel about that? Chances are you would probably fight him and say, well, why are you doing that? You're only supposed to be seeing me. Why are you now spending your resources and your good currency on all these other women? Well, that is how men feel when you are stripping in the club for guys, when you're in the club twerking your butt off, when you're wearing loose clothes that show a lot more of your skin than to everybody besides just him, when you're posting up Instagram and Facebook social media pictures of yourself in like these skimpy clothes or doing these various like erotic dances. These are things that men are looking at and going, wait a minute, I'm spending all my resources on this sole person, and yet they're spreading out their currency, their sexuality, and their body for everyone in the world to see. And that is not a thing that guys typically take very well. Okay. So you can recognize, again, you are free to do whatever you want, but there will be consequences for those actions. One of those being that men are going to see you doing that and think to themselves, okay, she might make for a good hookup, but I don't want people to know this is my girlfriend. I don't want people to know this woman that's in the club stripping her butt off or, you know, on Instagram, posting up thought pictures all the time is a woman that I'm actually with, because that now reflects on him. He has to now go out into the world and hear a bunch of other guys talk about how he saw his girl naked last night, or he saw this picture that this girl posted up and she had bikinis on and was rubbing her stuff and all this other things. And a guy doesn't want to have to deal with that. Understand, men's goals in life, as organized as we have to be, is to try to lessen the drama. We want as little drama in our lives as possible. Things like being overtly flirty, being overly sexual, showing too much of yourself in public are things that cause drama to come into our lives, and we don't want it. So again, you can do whatever you want to, but you cannot be mad at men for being upset with you for showing off your currency that he thought was going to be special specifically to him. We want you to be sexual, ladies, but we want you to be sexual with us in our homes. And we already know, I know somebody's going to say, but guys are always sexualizing us when we go out. That is the thing that we need to work on. I think it is unfair that any guy that looks at you is automatically sexualizing you. But with that said, you don't need to help. Like you walking down the street and some guy looking at you and sexualizing you is one thing. You walking down the street in a scrimpy bikini where you're twerking your stuff and rubbing your stuff and listening to Lizzo and Cardi along the way saying, yeah, my WAP this and all this and that. Yeah, some guy's probably going to look at you and over-sexualize you, but you're also like promoting it, you know? So you cannot be that way if you want to get a guy that is classy and that's going to be with you long-term. So that's the first thing. Second thing is men typically don't want women that are trying to out-masculine them. And I know in this day and age, because a lot of women have had to be independent and do it on their own, that there are women out there that have had to tap more into their masculine energy. And that is not to say that no man ever in life would never, ever be attracted to a woman with masculine energy. But the problem is with that masculine energy, a lot of times comes arguments, because women that typically stay in the masculine, when they get with a guy, and let's say the guy's trying to actually be in a leadership position that you wanted to be in the first place, we know going in, there's going to be a lot of arguments and a lot of clashing. And again, men are trying to lessen the drama in their lives. So if he comes in and he's an alpha and he's trying to quote unquote be the leader of the relationship, and you're a woman that's been stuck in her alpha this whole time, and now you're trying to out alpha him, then we know that we are never going to be masculine enough, because as masculine as we try to get, you're going to out masculine us. Or if you see any signs that a man could be doing something that is less than masculine, you're going to question it and then judge him on that. For example, a guy that is quote unquote masculine, but likes romantic comedy movies or likes the occasional sappy song. Well, now that might feel like a threat to you in terms of how masculine he's actually being versus how you're being. And that's going to cause a bunch of arguments. Okay. Again, a lot of guys grew up under single mothers. I was one of them. So a lot of men these days, unfortunately, have that thing of they can be a little too stuck in the feminine at times. And as best as we try to fight that at times, it can still be a thing. So understand there's definitely a imbalance going on of a lot more women these days that are leaning in their masculine and guys that grew up under single mothers that are now more in their feminine. Okay. So those men are typically trying to work on being more masculine. You got to allow a little bit of grace, but recognize again, we're not trying to be in a relationship with another man. We're not trying to fight another man. We're not trying to jock for position in these various instances. Okay. So this is where I say as a woman, you have to be mindful of tapping into your feminine energy. I know that part of that is being able to be with a man that is masculine enough to where you feel comfortable leaning into your femininity, but that's not to say that you're going to know how to do that when that time comes. You might get with a man who is alpha masculine guy all day. But when you meet that guy, if you've been a woman that's been tapping into your masculine energy for so long, you might now get shell shocked and you might not know how to tap into your feminine energy that he needs. And you might end up chasing him away because he's like, I don't want to deal with this woman that's acting like a man. So you have to read up for yourself on what it means to be more feminine. What are things that guys are looking for that indicate that you're tapping into your femininity? And that way you're able to be a more feminine woman. Women like Lizzo and Cardi, they are very much in their masculine. I see Lizzo on social media all the time talking about, well, I don't need, it goes from like, I don't need no man. It's like, well, men need to accept me for what this and this and that. And like, just giving demands of what guys should be doing. And even in their songs, like, yeah, I need a guy who does this, this. And again, that kind of energy is cute for songs. But in real life, most men don't want women that are talking like that or giving off that energy. Same with Cardi. And people will say, well, Cardi's got a man. Yeah, but Cardi's also got a lot of money. So that man might feel like he can't leave because that's a great resource. I'm sorry to say that does happen sometimes, ladies. But that does not mean, I mean, they've almost been divorced like 2 or 3 times now. Okay. So that means that whatever she's doing isn't always working because there are points where they are on the verge of breaking up. Okay. So recognize that men ultimately don't want to deal with a woman long-term that's going to have more masculine energy than he has. And again, we know as guys, we got to work on that. Again, I coach guys on this channel. I'm helping them figure out how to tap more into their masculine energy so you find them attractive. But when they do get to that level, you can't still be in your masculine energy. Okay? That's the second thing. Third thing, body goals. Lizzo and Cardi B, despite what the media says, are not body goals. Okay? Cardi B has a lot of fake various parts. And for a guy sees that. A woman that has like fake boobs, fake butt, fake plastic surgery or stuff like that. And we don't see a woman that is all that confident. We see a woman that is, if anything, is less confident, is trying to make up for the fact that she felt less confident about things. And just because you add those things onto you doesn't make you any less confident. If anything, oftentimes it makes men more or less confident because now it's like they got scars. They might have gotten a surgery where like things are kind of out of order or stuff starts getting out of whack. And that is not something that a guy wants to deal with. With Lizzo, I know there's a whole thing about the body positivity movement and how regardless of what your body looks like, you should be proud of it. And Lizzo spouts this on her page all the time. But at the same time, she's also the one that is constantly trying to work out, is trying to get into better shape, and is constantly being critical of herself and is oftentimes in a depression. Not just about, what people are commenting about her, but about the fact that she doesn't actually like the quote unquote positive body that she's in. Okay. And as for guys, again, we will typically date women of a wide spectrum, of a wide amount of whatever body you have. Okay. But we also recognize that in the future, depending on what you've done to your body, there could now be consequences for us in terms of medical bills, in terms of health problems, in terms of how you feel about yourself. And we're really analyzing that. We're analyzing all various forms of body builders, whether it's Cardi's body or whether it's Lizzo's body. All I see is problems coming in the future for my wallet and for her health, which is also going to affect me and also her mood. Okay. So recognize that despite what the media is saying, the body goals for like any kind of body, that's not a thing. And that's true for guys too. Hey, I'm like, I remember the end of last year, I'm 168 pounds right now. up last year around Thanksgiving, I weighed myself. I'd gone up to 193 pounds. At 193 pounds, I could feel my heart trying to work a lot harder. I felt at times that it was like bumping a little too hard, and I was tired a lot. I was groggy. I had headaches. And that was just me 30 pounds more than I should have been. That did not feel good. So if you're watching this as a lady, you got to ask yourself, do you really currently feel great in the body that you're in? If you do, there's no judgment. You got to flaunt that the best you can. But if you think at all that it could possibly be being a hindrance to you and also a hindrance to your dating life, it is something to consider you possibly changing up in a more healthy way. So that way you feel better about yourself, thereby the men that you're around will feel better being around you and want to get with you as well. All right. And then the last thing is men do not want women that are ratchet. I mean, that's not to say that a small segment of men don't. I want to preface this by saying that because I know there's always outliers, okay? So I'm going to say the majority of men, when they're looking at the women that they're going to get with, they're also looking at how is that woman going to represent them? Because if we're dating you, we have to take you out in public. We have to take you around our friends. We have to take you around our family. And we do not want to risk being in these environments where suddenly you're going to make us look bad. So all this ratchet behavior that is out there right now saying, oh yeah, I'm a ratchet, but I still got a man and this is that is not true. For one, most of those women are either single or they're in a space where they're so rich that men will date them or hook up with them because they're pretty and they got money. But that doesn't mean that they're dating them long term. You know, women like Sweetie, women like the city girls, yeah, they can quote unquote get men to hook up with them, but none of them have long-term relationships and they are ratchet as heck. And I love their music. When I'm in my car, I bump it, I'm dancing along and I'm singing the words, but like all those women are either single or they have baby daddies that aren't staying with them and they are not in a position with a man because men don't want ratchet chicks. Not that we need the world's classiest woman, but we want a woman that we think is not going to embarrass us. That's not going to try to fight us in public, give us any major pushback, is not going to try to basically make us look like a joke to our constituents when we go around public, okay? And so these women are promoting ratchetness. They are. Cardi had the WAP song last year. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about my vagina and how wet it gets in the public, and it's gonna be so great. I'm like, how did Offset feel about that? Maybe he felt fine, but most guys aren't gonna be cool with their women out in public talking about how wet their stuff gets. You know, Lizzo's in her video now, body positivity goals and all, shaking and twerking and wearing see-through stuff. And again, regardless of what her body is, men aren't going to be like, oh, whether she's like fit or not, oh, she's in skimpy clothes and oh, she's wearing see-through stuff in the world to see. I'm totally cool with that. Like that is some ratchet freaking behavior. And again, if you're trying to go for a guy that's of high caliber and quality, they're not going to go for you if you're acting this way, okay? And I assume most of you ladies that are watching this, if you're watching it at all, probably aren't like that. You women are probably ones that actually are pretty classy, maybe somewhat conservative in terms of how you dress or whatever, but there are women out there that are promoting this thing of you need to be ratchet as heck, and regardless of how ratchet you get, it's still gonna, you should still be able to get a man. Like men don't think like that. Men aren't thinking just like men don't think if I'm a broke brother that I'm not going to be understanding if women don't want to date me. We might be mad at it, but we'll be like, but I don't have any money. I have no car. I live with my mom. You know what? I can understand how a woman's not going to want to date me. Okay. Because I need to get more resources. I need to be in a better position so I look good. So that way when I'm with a woman, she can be proud of the man she's with versus, oh, I'm with this guy that lives at home and has no money. Okay. So we're looking at that the same way. Again, currency. How are you acting with us and around other people is going to determine how you're going to be around us when we're in public. We're looking at that. And if it's not good, we are not going to accept it. Okay. So that's it. That's all we're to talk about. So those are the things. Again, your sexuality is your currency, ladies. We don't want you women flaunting that to other men, whether it's on social media or in person. We don't want a woman that's over masculating us. And so we're going to come as masculine as we possibly can. If you're going to fight us on that, we're out. Your body goals, we are looking at realistically, we're looking at your body, looking at what kind of health status you're in, because we're thinking about long-term health. We're thinking about if we want you to be a mother of our kids, how are the babies going to look? How is your pregnancy health going to affect your ability to birth a healthy child? And that starts with your health before you get pregnant. And then also classy versus ratchet. We don't need you ultra classy, but we don't want you hella ratchet. We want you to be in that space where we can take you out and be proud of you. We want to be proud of the woman that we're taking out with us. And so you need to err on the side of trying to be more like that, because Cardi and Lizzo, even if they do get men, it's usually for short term. I don't see Cardi and Offset going the distance, to be honest with you. I don't think that's going to last more than 10 or 12 years, okay? But with Lizzo, she's out there doing a bunch of ratchet stuff and then wondering why she's still single, why she can't get a man, why she's having to act like she wants to hook up with Drake and Chris Evans and how they should want her. And they're looking at her like, I would never date you. Like, not just because of the body positivity stuff, because all these other things that you're doing, all these actions that you're indicating out there are a part of you, are not things that we want to do with our women on a long-term basis. So that's it. If you have any questions or comments about this particular video, leave your comments down below. For you women, I have nothing to promote because I don't have a site for you all. I don't have any books for you all. I just have this video, and I may make more of them to help you ladies out should this become something that gets watched. All right. So thank you, ladies, for watching. And if you have any questions or things you want me to cover on a future one of these videos, leave it in the comments down below. I can also be written at harrywilmington@gmail.com. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.